feeling that tingling, that annoying numbness or pins and needles sensation in your feet. It's a frustrating reality for many of us as we get older. Sometimes it feels like your feet just aren't quite there, or like they're falling asleep constantly, even when you're wide awake. You might wonder, is this just a normal part of aging, or is something else going on for a long time? We've been told that fruit is universally healthy, a perfect addition to any diet. And yes, fruits are packed with vitamins and fiber, and so many wonderful nutrients. But here's a surprising truth for some of us, especially those already dealing with that persistent numbness in the feet. Certain fruits, eaten regularly or in large amounts, might actually be making things worse. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? How can something so natural and seemingly good for you contribute to discomfort, like nerve pain, or that disconnected feeling in your feet? Well, it often comes down to specific properties within these fruits and how they interact with underlying conditions that commonly affect our feet, like circulation issues or nerve sensitivities. In this video, we're going to shine a light on something that often goes unnoticed: the potential negative impact of 6 specific fruits on foot numbness in seniors. We'll explore why these seemingly innocent fruits might be causing trouble and what you might consider eating instead to help those tired, tingly feet feel a little better. Watch to the end for something that will surprise you about finding relief. Let's talk about the first fruit that might be secretly contributing to that frustrating numbness in your feet, especially if you're already prone to it. And this one might shock you because it's often touted as a healthy snack, a great source of energy: dried fruit. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but it's just fruit, right? It's natural. And yes, you're absolutely right. It is natural. The issue isn't the fruit itself in its fresh form, but what happens when it's dried. When fruit is dried, all the water is removed. This concentrates everything else that's in the fruit: the vitamins, the fiber, yes, but also the natural sugars. So, a small handful of raisins, dried cranberries, dried apricots, or dried mango has significantly more sugar packed into it, bite for bite, than the same amount of fresh fruit. Think about how many grapes you'd eat compared to how many raisins. You can pop a lot more raisins in your mouth without feeling full. This concentrated sugar load can cause a rapid spike in your blood sugar levels. Why is that a problem, particularly for foot numbness? Well, many common causes of foot numbness in seniors, like peripheral neuropathy, are linked to poor circulation or nerve damage, often exacerbated by fluctuating or high blood sugar levels. When your blood sugar spikes frequently, it can damage the tiny blood vessels that supply your nerves, particularly the long nerves that go all the way down to your feet. Over time, this damage impairs the nerve's ability to function correctly, leading to symptoms like numbness, tingling, burning, or pain. Dried fruit, because of its high sugar concentration and quick absorption, can contribute to these blood sugar roller coasters. It's like giving your system a jolt of sugar, which can put extra stress on those already vulnerable blood vessels and nerves in your feet. It's not just about diabetes, although that's a major factor for many experiencing neuropathy. Even without diabetes, inconsistent blood sugar can contribute to inflammation and poor circulation over time. Imagine your blood vessels as pipes. High sugar levels can make those pipes less flexible and more prone to damage, restricting the flow of oxygen and nutrients to your nerves. And nerves need a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients to stay healthy and transmit signals properly. When they don't get what they need, they start to malfunction. And that's when you feel that frustrating numbness or odd sensations. Now, does this mean you can never have dried fruit? Not necessarily, but moderation is key. And for some, it might be best to avoid it altogether if you're struggling with significant numbness, instead of reaching for that bag of dried apricots or a box of raisins as a snack. Consider alternatives that offer nutrients with a lower sugar impact. Fresh berries like blueberries, raspberries, or strawberries are fantastic options. They're lower in sugar, higher in fiber, and packed with antioxidants that can help fight inflammation and protect those precious blood vessels. A handful of nuts like walnuts or almonds provides healthy fats and protein, which stabilize blood sugar instead of spiking it. Even a small piece of fresh fruit, like a small apple or a pear, eaten with a source of protein or healthy fat, will have a much gentler effect on your blood sugar than dried fruit. The key takeaway here is to be mindful of the concentrated nature of dried fruit. It's a calorie-dense, sugar-dense package, and while it has its place, it might be wise to limit it or swap it out if you're trying to improve your foot comfort. Pay attention to how your body feels after eating certain foods. That's perhaps the most valuable tool you have. If you notice your feet feel worse after a snack of dried fruit, that's your body giving you a clear signal. Moving on down our list of potential culprits, let's talk about a fruit that's a breakfast staple for many. Often eaten on the go or blended into smoothies, the banana. Bananas are undeniably convenient and contain nutrients like potassium, which is important. However, they also contain a fair amount of natural sugar, and depending on how ripe they are, that sugar can be absorbed into your bloodstream relatively quickly. Riper bananas, especially those with lots of brown spots, have converted more of their starch into sugar, giving them a higher glycemic index. The glycemic index, or GI, is a scale that measures how quickly a food causes your blood sugar to rise. Foods with a high GI cause a faster spike. And, as we just discussed, those spikes can be problematic for nerve health and circulation, contributing to or worsening existing numbness. Now, compared to dried fruit, a single banana isn't as extreme a sugar bomb, but many people eat a full-sized banana, or even two, in one sitting, and in a smoothie. The sugars are released even faster because the fruit is already broken down. For someone trying to manage blood sugar fluctuations that might be impacting their peripheral nerves, a large, very ripe banana could be contributing to the problem without them realizing it. It's not that bananas are inherently bad, but their sugar content and GI profile mean they need to be considered carefully, especially in the context of conditions that affect nerve function. Think about the cumulative effect. If you start your day with a smoothie containing a banana, have some dried fruit as a snack, and then maybe another higher sugar fruit later, you're potentially creating repeated blood sugar surges throughout the day. These surges, over time, can stress those delicate nerves and blood vessels in your feet. So, what are some alternatives or strategies if you love bananas but are concerned about foot numbness? First, consider portion size. Maybe half a banana is enough, especially if you pair it with something that slows sugar absorption, like a handful of nuts, a spoonful of almond butter, or Greek yogurt. The protein and fat help to level out that sugar curve. Second, consider less ripe bananas. They have more resistant starch and less sugar, leading to a lower GI effect. Third, think about swapping bananas for fruits with a lower sugar content and GI. Avocado is a fantastic option. Technically a fruit, it's low in sugar and high in healthy fats, which are great for nerve health. Berries, as mentioned before, are excellent. Apples and pears, especially with the skin on hello. Fiber, have a more gradual impact on blood sugar. It's about making conscious choices. If your goal is to reduce factors that might worsen nerve symptoms, paying attention to the type and quantity of sugar, even natural sugar from fruit, is a smart move. It's not about eliminating all delicious foods, but about understanding how different foods affect your unique body and making adjustments for better comfort and well-being. Let's keep exploring the fruit bowl and look at another popular choice that can be a hidden source of sugar grapes. Grapes are small, sweet, and incredibly easy to eat by the handful. It's difficult to stop at just a few, and before you know it, you've consumed a significant amount of sugar without feeling particularly full because they lack the fiber and protein needed for satiety. A typical serving size is about a cup, which is roughly 16 grapes. That cup contains about 15 to 20 grams of sugar, depending on the variety. Now, imagine how quickly you can eat 2 or 3 cups while sitting and chatting or watching television. That's 30-60 grams of sugar hitting your system relatively quickly. Similar to bananas, grapes have a moderate to high glycemic index, especially seedless varieties. When you consume a large quantity of grapes, you're giving your blood sugar a rapid boost. And we've already discussed why these blood sugar spikes are not friends to your peripheral nerves and the tiny blood vessels supplying them. Repeated exposure to high sugar levels can damage the myelin sheath, the protective coating around nerve fibers, and impair the ability of nerves to transmit signals correctly. This damage manifests as tingling, numbness, and sometimes pain, often starting in the extremities like the feet. While grapes do contain beneficial antioxidants, the sheer amount of easily accessible sugar can outweigh these benefits if consumed in excess, particularly for individuals already susceptible to nerve issues. Think of it this way. The antioxidants are trying to help protect your cells. But a flood of sugar is actively working against the health of your blood vessels and nerves. For someone dealing with the frustration of foot numbness, limiting foods that cause rapid sugar spikes is a proactive step towards potentially reducing those symptoms. So, what can you do if you enjoy grapes? Be mindful of your portion size. Measure out that 1 cup serving and stick to it. Don't eat them directly from the bag or container, where it's too easy to lose track. Pair them with something that contains protein or healthy fat, like a small piece of cheese or a few almonds. This helps to slow down the absorption of sugar. Even better, consider swapping grapes for fruits with a lower sugar load per serving and a lower glycemic impact. Berries, again, are a fantastic choice. You get more volume and fiber for fewer net carbs and sugar. A small apple or pear also offers more fiber and a more sustained energy release. It's about making conscious swaps that align with your goal of promoting better nerve health and circulation in your feet. It's not about deprivation, but about choosing the foods that make your body feel its best in the long run. Paying attention to how your feet feel after eating certain foods is a powerful guide. If a large serving of grapes seems to correlate with increased tingling or numbness later, your body is sending you a clear message about what works for it and what doesn't. Moving on. Let's look at another tropical favorite that's often a source of concentrated sweetness: mangoes. Mangoes are absolutely delicious and packed with vitamins, but they are also one of the higher sugar fruits. Just one medium-sized mango can contain around 45 grams of sugar. To put that in perspective, that's more sugar than a can of soda when you eat a whole mango, especially on its own. That large dose of sugar is absorbed relatively quickly, leading to a significant blood sugar spike. As we've discussed, these rapid surges in blood sugar can be detrimental to the health of your peripheral nerves and blood vessels, which are already vulnerable for many seniors. High blood sugar contributes to inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which can damage nerve fibers over time, worsening symptoms like numbness, tingling, and discomfort in the feet. The complex carbohydrates and natural sugars in mangoes are broken down into glucose, and a large quantity of glucose hitting your bloodstream at once can be challenging for your body to manage, especially if your system isn't as efficient at regulating blood sugar as it once was. Eating a whole mango is akin to giving your system a large sugar load, and this can exacerbate underlying conditions that contribute to neuropathy. It's not just about the sugar content itself, but the speed at which it's absorbed. Foods that have a high glycemic index and are eaten in large quantities can create a metabolic environment that is less than ideal for nerve health. Does this mean you have to banish mangoes forever? Not necessarily. But just like with dried fruit and grapes, portion control is absolutely crucial if you're experiencing foot numbness. A much smaller slice of mango, perhaps enjoyed as part of a meal that includes protein and fiber, would have a less dramatic impact on your blood sugar than eating a whole one as a standalone snack. Consider dividing a mango into several smaller portions to enjoy over multiple days, or even sharing it with someone. However, if you find that even small amounts seem to trigger symptoms, or if you're looking for safer alternatives, there are many other delicious fruits that are lower in sugar and have a gentler effect on blood sugar levels. Apples and pears, with their high fiber content, provide a slower release of sugar. Berries are consistently excellent choices due to their low sugar, high fiber, and antioxidant profiles. Citrus fruits like oranges and grapefruits in moderation, and being mindful of any medication. Interactions offer vitamins without the same high sugar load as mangoes. The goal isn't to make your diet boring, but to empower you to make choices that support your body's health, including the health of your nerves and circulation in your feet. By being mindful of high sugar fruits like mangoes and opting for lower sugar, higher fiber alternatives more often, you can take a significant step towards potentially reducing that bothersome numbness and improving your overall comfort. It's about understanding the impact of your food choices and using that knowledge to feel better day by day. Let's move on to our fifth fruit that might be secretly worsening that foot numbness: pineapple. Pineapple is wonderfully sweet and refreshing, especially on a hot day, and it contains bromelain, an enzyme often associated with anti-inflammatory properties. However, like mangoes, pineapple is relatively high in sugar, and it also has a moderate to high glycemic index, meaning it can cause a noticeable spike in blood sugar levels, particularly when eaten in larger quantities. A cup of cubed pineapple contains about 16 grams of sugar. While not as high as a whole mango, it's still a significant amount, and many people consume more than a cup in a single sitting, whether it's in a fruit salad, a smoothie, or just snacking on chunks. When that sugar hits your bloodstream quickly, it contributes to the kind of blood sugar fluctuations that can be detrimental to the tiny blood vessels and delicate nerves in your feet. Think about how nerve signals travel. They rely on healthy nerves that are well nourished by a consistent supply of oxygen and nutrients delivered via blood flow. When blood vessels are compromised by high sugar levels or inflammation, that supply is disrupted, and nerve function can deteriorate, leading to symptoms like numbness, tingling, and reduced sensation. While the bromelain in pineapple might offer some anti-inflammatory benefits, the overall impact of the high sugar load on blood sugar regulation can counteract or even outweigh those benefits when it comes to nerve health, especially for those already experiencing peripheral nerve issues. So, what's the approach if you enjoy pineapple but are concerned about foot numbness? As with other high-sugar fruits, portion control is vital. Limit yourself to a small serving, perhaps a quarter or half a cup. And again, consider pairing it with protein or healthy fat to help slow down the sugar absorption. Enjoying a small amount of pineapple alongside a meal, rather than as a standalone snack, is generally a better strategy for managing blood sugar. However, if you find that pineapple seems to aggravate your symptoms, or if you're simply looking for fruits that are more consistently friendly to blood sugar and nerve health, there are plenty of delicious alternatives. Berries, again, are low in sugar and high in fiber and antioxidants, truly little powerhouses for health. Apples and pears offer fiber and a slower sugar release. Peaches and plums, in moderation, are also generally lower in sugar than pineapple. The idea isn't to eliminate entire food groups, but to be discerning and choose options that best support your specific health needs. For someone dealing with foot numbness, choosing fruits with a lower glycemic impact and less concentrated sugar is a sensible strategy to explore. It's about making informed choices that empower you to feel more comfortable and active in your daily life. Paying attention to how your body responds to different foods is your personal guide. If your feet feel worse after eating pineapple, that's valuable information you can use to adjust your diet. Finally, let's address the sixth fruit on our list that could be contributing to that bothersome foot numbness: watermelon. Watermelon is incredibly hydrating and refreshing, perfect for summer. However, despite being mostly water, it has a surprisingly high glycemic index. This means that the natural sugars it contains are absorbed very quickly into your bloodstream, causing a rapid rise in blood sugar. A standard serving of watermelon, about 1 cup, diced, contains around 9 to 10 grams of sugar, which might not sound like a lot compared to a mango or grapes, but because of its high GI, that sugar hits your system very fast. And let's be honest, how often do we stick to just 1 cup of watermelon? It's so easy to eat large wedges, consuming 2, 3, or even 4 cups in one go. When you eat a large quantity of watermelon, that high glycemic impact is magnified, leading to a significant blood sugar spike. As we've explored throughout this discussion, these rapid blood sugar fluctuations are not beneficial for the health of your peripheral nerves and the delicate blood vessels that supply them. Over time, repeated exposure to high blood sugar can contribute to inflammation and damage to nerve fibers, impairing their ability to transmit signals properly. This can worsen existing symptoms of neuropathy, including that persistent numbness, tingling, or altered sensation in your feet. While watermelon does provide hydration and some vitamins, its high glycemic load, especially when consumed in typical larger portions, makes it a fruit to be cautious with if you're trying to manage factors that contribute to foot numbness. It's a classic example of how even a fruit that seems light and watery can still pose a challenge due to its effect on blood sugar dynamics. So, what's the recommendation regarding watermelon if you're dealing with foot numbness? Again, portion control is key. If you're going to enjoy watermelon, stick to a small serving, maybe half a cup, and try to eat it as part of a meal rather than on its own, which helps to slow down the sugar absorption due to the presence of other nutrients like fiber, protein, or fat. However, if you find that watermelon seems to worsen your symptoms, or if you're looking for fruits that have a more favorable impact on blood sugar levels, there are plenty of delicious alternatives that offer hydration without the same high glycemic spike. Cucumber, though a vegetable, is incredibly hydrating and has virtually no sugar. Berries, with their low sugar and high fiber content, are always a good choice. Cantaloupe and honeydew melon have a lower glycemic index than watermelon, though they still contain sugar and should be eaten in moderation. Tomatoes, also botanically fruits, are low in sugar and versatile. The aim is to make choices that support steady blood sugar levels and reduce inflammation, thereby creating a better environment for your nerves and circulation. By being mindful of the high glycemic impact of watermelon, especially in common serving sizes, you can make more empowered choices about your diet that may help improve the comfort and sensation in your feet. It's about listening to your body, understanding how different foods affect you, and making small, smart adjustments that can lead to noticeable improvements in how you feel. So, we've talked about 6 specific fruits: dried fruits, bananas, grapes, mangoes, pineapple, and watermelon. That, while nutritious in many ways, can potentially worsen numbness in your feet due to their sugar content and how quickly that sugar can affect your blood sugar levels. This isn't about saying these fruits are bad or that you can never enjoy them again. It's about understanding their potential impact, especially if you're already struggling with nerve discomfort or poor circulation in your feet, which are common issues as we get older. The natural sugars in these fruits, when consumed in larger quantities or frequently, can contribute to those blood sugar fluctuations and inflammation that aren't friendly to your delicate peripheral nerves and the tiny blood vessels supplying them. Making conscious choices about the foods we eat is one of the most powerful tools we have for managing our health and improving our quality of life. Sometimes, the things we think are automatically healthy need a closer look, particularly in the context of specific symptoms we are experiencing. By being mindful of high sugar, high glycemic fruits, paying attention to portion sizes, and exploring lower sugar, higher fiber alternatives like berries, apples, pears, and avocados, you can take active steps towards potentially reducing that bothersome numbness and improving the overall health of your feet. It's not about following rigid rules, but about gaining knowledge and using it to make choices that help how you feel better. Your body is constantly sending you signals. The key is to learn to listen to them. If you notice your foot numbness or tingling increases after eating certain foods, that's your body telling you something valuable. Remember, diet is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to managing foot numbness. Staying active, managing underlying conditions like diabetes or circulation problems with your doctor, wearing comfortable shoes, and practicing good foot care are all incredibly important too. But making informed choices about what you eat is a significant step you can take every single day. It's about making small, sustainable changes that add up to a big difference in how you feel. Don't get discouraged if making dietary changes feels challenging at first. Focus on progress, not perfection. Every time you choose a handful of berries over a large bunch of grapes, or a small slice of avocado instead of a whole mango, you're making a positive choice for your nerve health and your comfort. The most important thing is to be kind to yourself and to see these dietary adjustments as an act of self-care, a way to honor your body and help it function better. You have the power to influence how you feel through the choices you make at the grocery store and in your kitchen. Taking control of your diet, even just focusing on reducing these 6 specific fruits or being more mindful of how and when you eat them, can be a truly empowering step. It's about reducing those things that might be working against your feet and increasing the things that support their health and comfort. We'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed that certain foods seem to affect the numbness in your feet? What strategies have you found helpful? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights could help someone else who is going through the same thing. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It lets us know that this kind of information is valuable to you. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and information on living your best, most comfortable life at every age. taking small steps each day, like being mindful of the fruits you eat, can make a world of difference. Live your best life at every age.